What is going on, guys? We are back. It's been a minute, but we finally got some stuff we can do to the 240, so we're going to jump on into that. So by the title of the video, you can tell that we're going to be wrapping our exhaust with some exhaust wrap, and that is probably one of my least favorite things to do. It's not like it's that complicated, but once it gets to like turns and stuff, it starts to get hard, and if you don't wrap it tight enough, it wants to undo itself, and you don't want that. So you got to get it like as tight as possible, and then hurry up and put the zip tie or clamp or whatever on before it starts to unravel itself, and it can be a pain sometimes. So we're gonna do the full exhaust, which is gonna be fun. It's just 3 pieces, so we're gonna take the exhaust off first, and then we will get the wrap and start going to town on it. So if you've been watching the videos and this isn't really news to you, but if you're new, welcome, first of all. And you'll notice that we don't have our exhaust coming out of the back. I have a light bar there that I actually need to replace because my dumbass got bed liner sprayed all over it when I sprayed that. So we'll gloss over that for now. But the exhaust doesn't come out of there because we actually have it coming out of here. So because it comes out of there, that means that there's not as much pipe as there would be to go all the way to the back. So we aren't wrapping as much as we would like a full exhaust, but we are wrapping a significant amount, mainly the mid-pipe section with the resonator. That is where most of the wrap's gonna go. All right, so let's take the exhaust off real quick. So here's the exhaust. We have our down pipe right there, the little S, and then we have our mid pipe here with the resonator, and then here is our tailpipe. So it's just 3 pieces, 3 V-bands holding everything together. So I don't really have that much experience with exhaust wrap, but one thing I did wrap was this hood exit, which we actually used because when we were tuning the car, I didn't have a hood and I didn't have an exhaust, so I just thought, okay, let's just send it up, get it away from there, and it allowed us to put our wideband in there. So this got us through dyno day, and you can see that we did wrap it, and I wrapped it for the same reasons that we're going to be wrapping the new exhaust. One of the reasons is it hides everything. All your welds, no matter how ugly they look, they are hidden under the exhaust wrap, and that's just like an added bonus. That's not even what it's meant for, it's just an added bonus. And when you're not a welder, your welds don't always look that great, so having this covering the ugly welds is just an added bonus. Now the main reason that you put this on is because you want to keep heat contained within the wrap, so you want to keep it around the pipe. That is how turbo blankets work as well. They don't keep the turbo colder, they actually make the turbo hotter, like they're going to make the pipe hotter with this, but it keeps the heat like insulated in there so it doesn't disperse and go throughout the engine bay and start heating up things you don't want it to. So that's the real reason that you get exhaust wrap. And another added bonus is that if your exhaust hits anything like mine does, then instead of it making noise, it'll be soft because the exhaust wrap is soft. It's not metal, so it's not metal on metal contact. It's not going to be like rattling, so that should help a lot with the noise. So that's why we're going to exhaust wrap it. So let's just get our exhaust and start wrapping. So we're actually going to start with this tailpipe here, so a good tip is to just throw it in a vise so it doesn't move on you. So before you do this, you're going to want to pick up some of these because it's working with fiberglass, it gets all over you and then you start itching, and you don't want that. You're going to want to get some gloves because there's no way you can do this without using your hands. And if you're doing this with someone and you want to be a good friend, then you can just give them a little prostate exam afterwards. So what you want to do is get a bucket of water like I have here, and then you're just going to drop it in, like I already did this one. And then you pull it out and you wring it out. Make sure it's not just soaked, but it did absorb all the water. Then you just take it to your work area, put it down, and then you get ready to have some fun. So when you start out, you want to get it even, wrapped around once, just so it holds its position there, and then you just keep it tight as you move around, and you slowly already popped it. You don't really want to move too much because the exhaust wrap likes to move, and you need it to be as tight as possible so it doesn't then come off later. And then when you're done, you should have something along the lines of this. I mean, it's not the greatest, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to fall apart, so we're going to keep it. So we made some decent progress. We have the tailpipe done, you guys saw that, and we have half, or a little more than half, of the downpipe done. I ran out of the 50-foot roll right here, so that's where I stopped it. I did want to cover the flex section, but I don't think I will anymore, because I'm not sure if you're even supposed to. So I'm just going to leave that as is, and then we'll just get this short 90 section there. But in case you're wondering how much you should buy, I bought 4 rolls of 50 feet, so I bought 200 feet, and right now I am starting my second roll, and I finished what I think is like a 2.5 foot section, maybe a little bit longer, and another probably 1.5 foot, 2 feet section. So one roll got me roughly 4.5 feet, we'll say. The piping that I'm using is only 2.5 inch, so if you have 3 inch, you're going to be using more to go around the circumference of the pipe, so just be wary of that when you are purchasing. We are now on the final section of the entire exhaust. It's getting from there to there. We're actually going to start from there and finish there, so we have our zip ties matching on this side. Not that it matters because no one's really going to see that, but let's just make it a little uniform, you know? But before I start on this, and I'll show you guys how it looks afterwards, when you have stuff like this in the way, like if you have an O2 sensor bung, which unfortunately on this one, there wasn't a whole lot I could do because there's not a lot on this side of the O2 sensor bung, so I can't get a wrap on that side, so I didn't even bother, I just ended it right before the bung. But on here, we have to go around this, so when you get to this part, you have to go like across and like overlap on this side, and then get as tight as you can on this side, and go over, and then you just sort of cover as much as you can. There's not really a way that I know that you can actually get like every inch of pipe when you have stuff in the way like this, so we're gonna try our best, and I'll show you guys how that looks afterwards. So this turned out terrible on this side. I'm gonna leave it because at this section of the car, this is in the back near the drive shaft, heat management isn't an issue there, so I'm gonna leave it. I really don't care. But if you do care and you do want to do a good job, then definitely take some time, make sure that you get everything right, get everything super tight, and make sure that everything looks good to you. But this is good enough for me. This whole section is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. It's this whole mess here, so that's why I left an extra zip tie on there, because on the others you can see that I didn't do that, because those ends are fine. These ends are where the wrap is getting held by, so I didn't zip tie that on there or on the tip because you don't need to, but I'm going to leave it on this side so this section doesn't get unraveled there and then unravel the entire thing, so that should help me out. But I got as best as I could, but it came out bad, so I'm not going to worry about it. And just like that, our exhaust is back on, and it looks really good with the wrap on it. And then in the engine bay, look at that. Everything's already wrapped, all good to go. So now we have the exhaust just totally done. Everything is good on it. The last thing for the exhaust really is the turbo blanket, but we'll get that in the future. That's not really a big priority right now. I'm gonna start the car up in a second, but before I do that, I just want to show you guys how much I actually used of the exhaust wrap, because I bought 200 feet of it. So 4 rolls of 50 feet, and I have 1 roll of 50 foot left that I didn't touch at all, and then I have 2 what looks like 25, like they look like they're about halfway done. These are the only 2 that I have left, and then in that box over there I have a brand new roll of 50 feet. So 50 feet plus, we'll say 40 feet, so I have 90 feet roughly. So if you have a full exhaust and you have 3 inch, then I would say get at least 200 feet, because it's pretty cheap too. It was only 15 bucks for every 50 foot roll. I'll have a link in the description so you can pick it up for yourself. One thing I didn't mention is that the exhaust wrap is actually going to cause some smoke to come off your exhaust. So if you see smoke in your engine bay and underneath your car or near your exhaust, don't worry, it's fine, it's totally normal. It's all the water from the exhaust wrap, because you have to soak it so it'll stretch and then you can get it, and then when it dries it tightens. So it'll be smoking for a couple days after. It all depends on how often you drive the car, but don't worry, the smoke is totally normal. So it is extremely hard to tell, but there is some smoke coming off the exhaust wrap right now. So I hope that you guys can see that the smoke is there. You can kind of see it right now coming off the top right around there. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that that's totally normal, and there's going to be a lot of it, and it'll be throughout the entire exhaust. It'll start where the closest to the header is, obviously, because that's where the heat is going to start. So it's always hotter the closer you get to the header, so it'll take a while for it to dry on the tailpipe, but that's okay. You can see it actually spit out some water when we revved it a little bit, so there was some in there, and you can see, well, you can't see, but there's some in there actually right now. There's some water. But alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did, comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Peace.